Well, everybody, crypto started this morning with the bang as Bitcoin briefly went back up above $100,000. Altcoins were rallying, and then the news run somewhere between 9 and 10 a.m. We got the news that Donald Trump announced a new plan for tariffs that would affect everything. And on that news, the stock market, the crypto markets, everything started coming back down to the downside. What does that mean for the future of the crypto markets, the stock market? Is the bottom in, or are we going to see a new dip forming? We're going to talk about all that and a whole lot more in today's episode. So make sure to go ahead and stick around till the end. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, as we are almost to 50,000 subscribers, but we need your help. First, though, we got to roll an intro. Welcome in, everybody, to the Investing Bros live show. It's 3 p.m., February 7th. It's Friday, the last live show before the next Super Bowl. It's going to be a good one. My questions for you boys today, as I do have to introduce my two co-hosts here. We got Smay, T. Shroom. I need a prediction for the Super Bowl. I need a score prediction. Smay, how you doing? What's your thoughts?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Shalom Lakaya, my brother. Let me go ahead and get into it. I will say this right now, that I think it is going to be an Eagles victory, and I think the Eagles are going to score. I think it's going to be 31-27. Eagles win.
Okay. Good score right there. I'll give my thought here in a second, but first, let me throw it over to Mr. T. Shroom down here in the bottom left. T. Shroom, how you doing, and what is your score prediction for the big game?
Oh, the big game. I think it's going to be Ford Motor Company plus $30 billion in revenue, and Budweiser InBev is going to be plus $15 billion in revenue from marketing efforts.
Good.
Yep, like and I'm doing better than I deserve. So
very good
that as well.
That's what I care more about. No, my prediction for the game is the refs will win 31-27. The exact opposite, though. If by saying the refs, I mean the Mahomes. I mean the Chiefs.
So you're betting my exact line, except in the reverse.
It's actually funny that you said that score, because I was literally thinking the same score. And I'll tell you this right now: the Eagles are going to be winning the entire game until like 1 minute left, when miraculously the Chiefs make another comeback victory led by the refs and Mahomes and score a touchdown Mahomes with a controversial call. I predict 3 controversial calls in the game, but you cannot go against the NFL Lord Mahomes, that he is the chosen one at the moment. I think they still get away with it.
I did put money on it. I have money on the line.
No.
I have money on. Listen, the Eagles are just the Eagles are too hot. The Eagles are just way too hot, and yes, there's corruption amongst the refs, but I will say that they have to at least be in fighting range, and I just don't think the Chiefs are all that good this year to be able to do that.
All right, well, let us know in the comments if you guys agree, disagree. What are your score predictions for the Super Bowl? Who's winning? Who's losing? What's the score? Let's get into some crypto talk here, everybody. Get some crypto talk. Before we jump into the charts, take a look at what's happening in the bubbles. Let's send it over to T. Shroom for our 1-minute rundown of the big stories of the day. T. Shroom, take it away for me, my friend.
Absolutely, Tim. And we have got some breaking news here. Just a few minutes ago, this headline came across the wire here. President Donald Trump says Elon Musk's Doge will audit the Pentagon's spending. Dun, dun, dun. And remember this, in 2024, they failed. The Pentagon failed its 7th consecutive financial audit, unable to account for north of $800 billion. So that is going to be flooding our news feeds here in just a few hours, I'm sure. Wow. President Trump to issue reciprocal tariffs to match those imposed by other countries. That there's a lot of details that come with that one. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Some good news here. The CFTC plans to hold a crypto CEO forum to focus on a pilot program for stablecoins. Participants are Circle, Coinbase, Crypto.com, and Ripple expected to attend. Moving along here, European Union to offer lower tariffs on U.S. cars. Pictured there as some of a premium United States motor production.
Yeah.
Bernstein analyst says Michael Saylor's strategy will boost its balance sheet by 12.75 billion after adopting the new accounting rule, which allows the firm to recognize unrealized gains from its Bitcoin holdings. Japan's FSA, financial regulator, urges Apple and Google to remove unregistered crypto exchanges apps, including Bybit, Mexi, Lbank, Qcoin, and BitGet. That one could send some ripples around the liquidity markets in crypto for sure. BlackRock's latest 13G filing reveals it now holds a 5% stake in MicroStrategy, now Strategy, up from 4.09% in September. And finally, our jobs numbers are in. U.S. non-farm payroll was up 143,000. That's lower than the estimated 169,000. In the U.S. unemployment rate was down to 4% clean. Estimate was 4.1, so beating there, bullish. U.S. average hourly earnings was up 0.5, estimated up 0.3. Bros, that is going to be your news. This is the impact, the forces that are impacting the crypto world right now, perhaps impacting your crypto portfolio. If you're looking to comment and engage further on any of these stories, check out the free Discord below, where you can ask us any questions or share any news releases. We actually rely on our bros for some news updates that make it onto the Twitter account there at Investing Bros. Tim, got some good news. We'll discuss all that later in just a few minutes. So I'll hand it back over to you.
Very, very good. Yep, got a lot of news to break down there. While you were speaking there, T-Shroom, we're flirting right now. Let's go to the daily chart on Bitcoin. Flirting with becoming a negative day. We spent almost all day today in the white, in the bullish zone. You can see here the most recent daily candle now printing out a very bad looking daily candle. It's in the blue. It's negative. But I say all this, we're going to come back to charts in a second. I told you guys yesterday, those of you who were here, it was a sea of red. I said, do not be surprised if we have a bullish day tomorrow, and it's a sea of green. And while there are a lot of green tokens on here, you can see obviously a heavy amount of red. Obviously, the majority of that is because of what we've seen in the last couple of hours. The last couple of hours are red, but every single coin, if you were to look at this earlier this morning, we saw almost everything on here in the green. This is what happens, this yo-yo effect. The markets right now don't really know if they want to be overly bullish. They don't know if they want to be overly bearish. Any day you have red candles, you're probably not going to have at least bullish momentum the next day, followed by red bearishness the next day. It's just this ongoing trend. But big ones playing out here. Flare still up 18.3% here. Ultima is up 10% here. Big losers, XMR. It looks like Jupiter and Hype kind of coming right behind there. Sui having a nice little pullback here as well. But those are bubbles today. Again, even though there's some that have turned red within the last couple of hours, overwhelmingly, it has been a positive day. But we are closing out here with bearishness as we're kind of wrapping up the last hour of the markets being open this week here in the United States. Before we get into the details on the charts, I'm going to got a lot to cover here. I want to back up, and I want to make sure we zoom out and take just a little bit of some drawings from the Bros Academy up there. How do you guys like those? Judge those in the comments down below. I want to back up and just, before we freak out, let's zoom out. It's a strategy. It's a concept we practice here at the Bros all the time. Very, very bullish. Even with today's pullback, we are still sitting in such a great long-term bullish perspective. Make sure you're not just staring at small time frames with small candles and trying to get way too bullish or way too bearish. Zoom out and get the full picture first. This is still a very, very bullish bull market that we are in play with. But with that said, let's dive in here and actually cover the details of what's happening. For that, I want to go into the 4-hour chart here. This move is not surprising me really whatsoever. As I mentioned earlier, we're getting into the details here. This morning, there was a jobs report data that came out. Let me show that to you right here. a very confusing job report data. We had a Tim's take this morning over in our free Discord that you're going to want to take a look at later on, or you guys want to be in that free Discord so you can be a part of those. We at least always do Monday and Wednesday. Sometimes we have a Tuesday or Thursday show as well. But non-farm payrolls, we're going to get into more details here later, came in at 143,000, way below the previous marking of 307 and below expectations coming in around 170,000, right? So that news in and of itself would suggest, man, America's hiring has really dropped, right? We're not hiring as many people as we were last month. We're going to get into some revisions that have happened, some details there. But what you need to understand is that actually could put pressure on the Fed to decide we want to start cutting rates again, because we don't want the employment rate to start dropping dramatically. And this is a sign that we're hiring less and less. That could become problematic. But then we're countered with the unemployment rate that came out this morning at 4%, down from 4.1 last month and below expectations of 4.1% this month. So now you're sitting here saying, all right, well, the non-farm payrolls came out as if there's job problems in the United States, but the unemployment came out lower, saying that there's not really a problem. Is this the evidence of a lot of things that happened with illegal immigration hiring practices that are kind of being busted up to where we're both losing job placements but also losing unemployment? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. It's a mixed bag, but ultimately, this news came out around 8:30, and what happened was the markets actually began to run before then, but the big moves here, if you look at the hourly chart, the big moves came during that hour that we had this news. In fact, from 8, let's go to the 30-minute chart just to see when it really got going. Yeah, 8:30. That news came out. We start skyrocketing. We skyrocketed for the next hour and a half, let's call it, until guess when? Roughly around 9:30. This is when the news came out that Donald Trump is talking about new tariffs once again. You can see clearly Bitcoin since then has been making a dramatic move to the downside. If I went and showed you the stock market and took a look at the S&P 500, same exact thing. We rallied early, and then all of a sudden, well, that's a bad example right there because that's not telling us the full picture. Let's go to the daily chart. Ultimately, the S&P 500 on this news has been dropping since it opened this morning here. It's dropped pretty significantly. So this is very clearly saying that people are concerned about new fears of what these tariffs could mean. Could trade war be coming back? We just dealt with all of this stuff a couple of weeks ago when tariffs sent us plummeting back down here towards 96,000. People were terrified, and then we bounced back, and then there was a brand new piece of FUD. We crashed to 90,000, 91,000. At the end of the day, what I want people to understand is while that is the excuse being given, I maintain my position. You can agree with me. You can disagree with me. All of this nonsense and noise and stuff happening. I love the news. I love studying the news. I love let it be a part of my analysis. I'm not telling you to read nothing but the charts and ignore the news, but I am saying it seems like a lot of noise. It seems like a lot of confusion. It seems very manipulative. And one of the reasons I say that is because let's go back over here into the 1 hour chart. How coincidental is it? How convenient is it that we rally up and hit some bearish divergence, get pretty darn close to the territory of some major resistance? We got into, after getting a buy signal on Lux Algo, we got, I turned all these down. Give me a second. I was doing class earlier. I had to turn these off for a second. How convenient is it that after we get a buy signal on the 1 hour chart, we hit the resistance level in the pocket of a long-term resistance level perfectly, right as bad news comes out, and all of a sudden we're coming back down to the downside? I continue to say the coincidences of these announcements and timings continue to just let me believe manipulation is here. What is that manipulation? That manipulation is there's a lot of very wealthy institutions, wealthy whales and people who want to buy cheap crypto before it blows off to brand new all-time highs, and they're using every means necessary to shake out and cause retail investors to capitulate, or in other words, sell off their holdings, But once they've run it all dry, once all of the weak-handed investors are out and it's just the rest of us stubborn people in, that's when the whales and institutions will scoop up all of the dip and send us to brand new all-time highs. I continue to believe that's the story of what's happening. I also continue to believe, as I've been talking about for the last couple of days, that Bitcoin has an untapped level that really needs to be dealt with. What is that level? Well, from the dip down here, we dropped down to 91,200 back on the second, followed by almost the immediate rally the next day, all the way back up to 102,500. We set up a precedent that I have been calling since that rally, that it really would make a lot of sense to come down here into the golden pocket somewhere in the world. I've been saying 95.3, but as we keep moving sideways, I'm aware 95,000 itself is on the table here for a potential dip. You're going to see that's going to correspond very nicely with this downtrending level of support, formerly resistance. If I zoom out, you can see this red line has worked as resistance several times, has worked as support level several times. It's a very key level that's corresponding beautifully with the golden pocket. It's also corresponding very beautifully with two other things. First of all, the 4-hour smart trail. While we are sitting on the top levels of it, you can see this level comes down very nicely. The middle of it's coming in at this 95.2 area. It's also something significant as you move to these other time frames and pull up liquidation charts. It's going to be a very significant level of long liquidity levels. Remember my theory here. Remember the thought here that I think that we're sitting in a spot where they're manipulating price back and forth. Well, what is one of the best ways to manipulate price back and forth? It's to target all of the over-leveraged positions that people get overly confident being bullish or overly confident being bearish. They look at these charts, they look where they can get rid of weaker, dumber retail investors, and they target them specifically. There is a hot zone sitting right here on 95.3, 95,000 that is just piling up confluence that we should be touching this level. We did get to 95.7, 95.6 yesterday, but didn't quite take out that liquidity. I still believe that pocket is what we're watching. And when I said this earlier this morning, it might have seemed crazy. We were rallying back up here and we got above 100,000. And I told our members of Discord, I told people, do not be surprised to see this rally reject in this camp. Reject below this level. It's a fake out and still have the ability to come down and hit these lower levels. Now, we haven't hit them yet. And I can't promise you with 100% certainty we will hit them. I can't promise you with 100% certainty we won't go below them. Obviously, you have to explore the possibility we could still drop back down to 90K or even lower. All those things are technically possible. But there's a lot of reasons why pulling back here towards 95,000, 95.3 still makes a whole lot of sense. It's a lot of strong support right in here. Now, I do want to clarify before we move on here. That's my position right now. I'm still so overwhelmingly bullish. I'm just not short-term bullish right now. I still think the markets are shaking people out. But somebody asked earlier, I think a good question. And I want to find where it is. I think Steady Bug. Now, Steady Bug, I'm so glad you're here every single day. I love your engagement. You're clearly very bearish. There's a bear in your profile picture. Love it, though. Love the diversity of opinion. He says, LOL, manipulation for 3 months? Sure, bro. I get it. I understand. When in the world have we seen manipulation last as long as 3 months? Oh, you mean like right back here? Oh, you mean like this all chaos that we had for not just 1 month or 2 months or 3 months? It lasted between March and October. I'm no mathematician, but that seems a little bit longer than 3 months, no? We would bounce between 70,000 and 50,000 several times throughout this space, with news headlines causing us to be bullish at the wrong times before they plummet, and then they blamed it on some sort of new bad news. We blamed it on Germany selling all their Bitcoin, bull market over. Well, guess what? We just bottomed out on a support level. All of a sudden, boom, everything's okay. We can shoot price back to the upside conveniently. Then they blame it on the Asian carry trade. We go to new lows. We go back down below 50,000. Guys, bull market over. Oh, wait, never mind. We shot back up. Everything's good. The manipulation that happened between March and October was crazy. And it took a lot longer than 3 months. So, Steady Bug, yes, manipulation can last much longer than 3 months. I don't think we're in a time period where we're going to see another like 8-9 month sideways boring price action again. I do think we are inching closer towards the bullish breakout, but that doesn't mean it's right this second. That doesn't mean it's tomorrow. That doesn't even mean it's next week. I think there's a fair chance, a decent chance that we start to pump again before the end of February, but I cannot guarantee that. And I'm going to continue to be extremely patient with how these things move. However, I want to make it very clear, whether you are bullish or bearish right now, that affects your long-term investments. But you want to know what doesn't affect your long-term investments? No matter what you believe, you can be trading this market. This is a beautiful, beautiful time to be trading this market. You can use Luxago tools that we have, but make sure if you want to trade, you're using our link for Blofin. And the big reason you should use Blofin, it's a great resource to be trading. You can do leverage trading. There's hundreds and hundreds of different coins that you can trade today. But also with the Bros link, we have for the next month between now, February 7th and March 7th, we have a great option for you guys to get involved and get trading today, because no matter what happens, whether you win or you lose, everyone can win when you're trading. If you trade over $1,000 of volume, which is not very hard, if you know anything about trading, that could be done easily in one very small trade. Everybody who trades $1,000 of volume will automatically be eligible for a $20 bonus worth, $20. Don't pay attention to the pictures here. If you trade $1 million, you'll get $129 or the value of AirPods. If you trade $5 million of volume, you'll get $300, the value of a Switch. If you trade $20 million, you get the value of an iPhone 16 or $1,500. If you trade $30 million of volume, you'll get a MacBook Pro 3 valuation, $2,500. And if you trade over $50 million over the next month, you will get return of $3,500 or the value of an Apple Vision Pro. If you want to go buy these things, you can. If you want to pocket that money and go buy crypto, it is your money. But no matter what, you cannot lose trading with Blofin and the Bros account today. Make sure to sign up in the link down below. And if you're already an Investing Bros Blofin trader, don't worry. You don't have to sign up for anything. You are automatically entered right now. If you're bullish, if you're bearish, anyone can win trading these markets. Go start trading on Blofin today. With that said, that is my Bitcoin analysis for the day. There's one more thing I actually want to say before we transition into the news. I want to take a look at one other stock. I was showing you the S&P 500 was falling, but guess what's rallying here today? Gold. And all this chaos just hit a brand new all-time high again here today. What does this mean, though? Some people are going to be saying, Tim, this means we should be holding gold over Bitcoin. I wouldn't say that's what it means. Let's go back to October of 2023. If you had bought October in 2023, gold would have increased your holdings by 58%. That's cute. That's cool. If you had bought Bitcoin, though, back in October of 2023, if you'd bought the same time, the same level, even with all of these pullbacks, let's see how much your portfolio would have increased. 264%. I'm no mathematician, but I think that 264 is a bigger number than 58. What's my overall take here, though? What am I getting at pointing out that gold is sitting at new all-time highs again? What this signals to me is that Bitcoin is the future of wealth finance. Bitcoin, though, at the moment is still being treated like a risk-on asset, meaning when things are fearful and worrisome, when the markets don't want to take on extra risk, they move away from things like Bitcoin, like crypto, like tech stocks, and they want to go into more sure things like treasury bonds, like gold. That's considered a hedge against inflation. It is only a matter of time before Bitcoin is treated the same as gold. But if you're asking, where is some of this extra liquidity going to come from? Number one, it's going to come from institutions. Number two, we're not anywhere close to the end of retail. But guess also what makes so much sense? I am rooting for gold to shoot to the roof. Why? Because the minute we get clear regulational clarity on Bitcoin, the minute we get that Bitcoin National Reserve, the minute we see stuff like potentially no capital gains taxes on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, watch that liquidity from gold get shifted over into Bitcoin. I'm not afraid of gold hitting new all-time highs and Bitcoin staggering because I'm playing the long game. I'm waiting for the future. I know what the future looks like with how people will treat these assets. Let gold run. All of that's going to be flowing. Not all, but a good amount of these gains coming in gold today will be flowing into Bitcoin later on. I'm not worried about it whatsoever. With that said, though, that's going to wrap up the Bitcoin analysis for today. Let's get into the news. Let's get into the concept here. Overwhelmingly, people, do not get too bearish. Keep your head on your shoulders. We're not ready to break to new all-time highs right this second. We're pulling back. But there is nothing on the charts. There is nothing in the news. There is nothing about the way this market is moving that is causing anyone to believe that the bull market top is in. And in fact, the news section, we're about to get into some stories that confirm we had a long way to the upside to go. We'll tell you why here in a second. T-shirt, why don't you go ahead and take it away for our news section?
Yeah, I think the most compelling story for the crypto thesis, a risk-on thesis for crypto, meaning you continue to DCA, you continue to take long positions, not short positions, is this headline here, right? This is BlackRock latest 13G filing, right? This is not something that they, some PR statement or something where they're being sneaky with words. This is something how they have to file with the Securities and Exchange Commission, right? This is truth, right? Or as close to truth as we're going to get in the world we live in. It reveals that they have increased their stake almost a full percentage point in MicroStrategies. Now, what is MicroStrategies? Maybe you're watching for the first time, or maybe you don't know what MicroStrategy is. It is a stock on the New York Stock Exchange that you can go buy, ticker MSTR, and BlackRock has been buying it. MicroStrategies used to be just a software company. They made software and consulted with businesses who were trying to make software. And someone named Michael Saylor kind of steered the strategy away from just selling software services and started to accumulate Bitcoin. Right now, MicroStrategies is one of the top holders of Bitcoin in the world, and MicroStrategy is what BlackRock is buying. Right in the past quarter that this filing is reflecting, they have increased their stake. So, Tim, what is your reaction to this? Does this kind of spell bearishness? Does this spell that the bullishness is leaving the crypto markets?
No. So this is what I'm talking about when I say confirm. If BlackRock was simply taking interviews, which they are doing this, but if they were only taking interviews saying, man, I think this crypto thing is a really special thing. I think everyone should be involved in crypto. But there was no evidence that they were putting their money where their mouth was. That would be concerning. If we saw a massive influx of retail investors, if retail was super bullish right now, that would be concerning. But the fact that sentiment's at an all-time low, check for a bull market still coming. The fact that it's not just BlackRock saying crypto is good, but that we're watching evidence of them continuing to purchase. BlackRock is the wealthiest, most well-educated financial service in the world. They are the ones that control and manipulate markets. You are not going to catch them buying anywhere near or at the top. So this is a situation where you watch what they do, not what they say. To be honest with you, I really could care less about what BlackRock and Larry Fink say. I could care less about what JP Morgan says. I could care less about what a lot of these massive institutions print in their newspapers or take interviews and say. What I want to watch is what their pocketbook does. And right here, we are seeing the pocketbook of some of the wealthiest institutions in the world. They are still buying. They don't do that at tops. Go back, study your history, look at the stocks, look at past crypto moves. Whales and institutions do not buy the tops. They're too smart for that. They get you to buy the top, and then they dump their bags on you. This is the exact opposite of that. They know you're bearish, so they're buying because they know something we don't know, and that's the bull market is nowhere close to over. I cannot tell you that with 1,000% certainty or 100% certainty because there's nothing in the markets that are 100%. But when I heard this article, when I saw this information, T-Shroom, I'm going to put that number somewhere in the world of above 90%. The bull market top is not in for this cycle.
I like it. And for those of you who are unacquainted with MicroStrategies, let me just take you a little bit further. I usually don't get into the charts, but let's take a look here. This is MicroStrategies chart, okay? If you take a look at it here, does this look bearish to you? This does not look very bearish to me. This looks like a classic, explosion consolidation. BlackRock knows that this is a sound investment at this point in time, right? Does that mean that there's 0% chance that this can't go lower? No, of course. assets can always go lower. But my analysis, and it looks like the analysis of the good boys over at BlackRock, is saying risk on for this particular stock. And there's some reasons for that. Let's get into that, and then I'll tell you a little bit of why we're not seeing risk markets skyrocket, okay? Because there is a little bit of salad to be had with the stake going on with the news cycle right now. That is this headline here. Returning to this one, Bernstein analyst says Michael Saylor's strategy will boost its balance sheet by $12.75 billion. That may sound like a big number, because it is. That's a very big number, because it's going to be able to essentially account for its Bitcoin, its assets, as an asset, not a liability. And that's something that it hasn't been able to do until now, since the SAB 121 rule in the United States was essentially nullified by the new Securities and Exchange Commission. So this is singularly bullish, I would say, for MicroStrategies. This specific headline here is not necessarily going to boost Bitcoin, but it will boost MicroStrategies. Another reason why BlackRock is continuing to buy it. By the way, the Swiss and the Norwegian central banks also own MicroStrategies, right? You would never put into your central bank, into your reserves, a asset that you aren't sure is going to continue to get a return, or at least stay flat, at least stay sustained at the current levels. So again, quick look at that ticker here. If you're not in the US, you may not be able to get access to this stock. I'm not saying you should buy it or shouldn't buy it. It's not financial advice. Just showing you that this is what you're working with here. All right. So I'm not even going to ask Tim, because it's just bullish, right? They don't need to get his take on that.
Yeah.
Now, there is a little bit of salad to be had with our steak here. Not that salad isn't good, with a good, delicious Italian dressing. Let me know, what's your favorite dressing to put on a salad? But let's get into it here, because the T word is coming back into the news cycle. And when that happens, volatility ensues. President Trump to issue reciprocal tariffs to match those imposed by other countries. This is kind of the biggest thing right now on the Twitter verse. And this is the reaction, which is positive, I would say. European Union to offer lower tariffs on U.S. cars. Now, maybe you don't really understand tariffs. Let me break it down for you a little bit, and then I want to get Tim's reaction onto this. So what a tariff is it's a tax on imported goods to a country. In the case here, the European Union is not America, right? The European Union purchases cars and car products from the United States. Thanks Ford, Chevy, Chrysler, Jeep, and more. Let me know, what's your favorite American car? I want to know in the comments in the chat. So Germany, Poland, Estonia, name your favorite European country. They're importing cars, right? And every time they do that, Ford and Chrysler and Chevy, they have to pay tariffs, right? They have to pay tariffs to the European Union, and that impedes the demand for American cars, because BMW and Volkswagen do not need to pay that tariff necessarily. So that is called a leveling of the playing field. And this is a reaction from the EU, right? An action from the centralized government of the European Union, directly from the trade threats, the tariff threats from the president. The president here isn't just calling out Europe, though, I will point out. He's calling out all other countries that have tariffs on the United States. So, Tim, is this an escalation in the tariff talk that we've seen? Is it correct that the markets, at least on the stock side, seem to be repricing assets to the downside as a reaction to this kind of back and forth from Europe and Trump? What is your reaction here with this one?
Is it an escalation? Yes. I mean, that's simple. Anytime that you have one tariff, then two tariffs, then three tariffs, now many tariffs, that's an escalation. Is it surprising? Not at all, right? People are acting like this is the first time Donald Trump has ever mentioned tariffs. He did tariffs back in his first term as president years ago. He campaigned almost his entire campaign throughout 2023 and 2024, saying that one of his thoughts and plans for what would fix America would be to put tariffs on other countries to get rid of the income tax, the federal income tax, and allow Americans to get back to work, to keep more money in their pocket. So is it escalating? Yes. But is it a surprise? Absolutely no. It's not a surprise whatsoever. But what it does is it creates a convenient excuse, a convenient reason to promote negative sentiment amongst retail investors, to get prices to go down cheaply so that large people can buy it. And in case anyone was wondering here, I'm not blaming Donald Trump and saying Donald Trump is in on this manipulation. Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't know Donald Trump. Never had a conversation with him. Maybe he is. But that's not my assumption or my accusation. I think the large entities that be on Wall Street understand this is a game in a way they can make a lot of money and retail loses money. And remember, in the world of trading, we're not just creating money and then all of a sudden everyone can win together. For one person to win, others have to lose and vice versa. So to get these things to move up, it's very common to find a reason to get the prices moved to the downside, use whatever excuse necessary to do so. And then when we promote that fear, when we promote concern, because that's my other concept here is, to me, I don't see these tariffs as actually being a bad thing, but it's a matter of perspective. If I control the papers, if I control the media, I can convince you any piece of information and news is good or bad. I can convince you to do that with that information, whatever I want you to do. That's what I see happening right here. People are not giving this its due time to run its course. We don't know the details of what this means. As far as I'm concerned, no countries have specifically been named, although I think it's pretty simple to assume a lot of them are going to be coming from Europe, probably some even from Asia, and probably some from South America as well, as there are some leaders in all of those continents that have had words with Donald Trump, who have had disagreements, who have threatened and said they're not going to do anything to help him. Well, guess what? Whether you like it or not, America's still the most powerful, most influential, most needed country worldwide. I mean, there's really not many countries in this world that don't depend upon the U.S. in one way or another. Donald Trump knows this. He understands that he has more leverage than anybody else out there, and he's going to do what he thinks is best for the American people. Well, I can take that information, I can spill it in a really bullish way, or I can spin it in a really bearish way. And it serves me, if I'm a billionaire, if I'm a trillionaire, if I want to make money in the markets, it serves me better to spin it in a negative way to get the markets to drop so that I can buy the dip while everybody else is way too afraid to do so. So that's what I'm doing with this information. That's what I'm treating this as. And if I see a massive drop and things start to happen, I'm always open to changing my opinion on where things go. But let's start with hitting some of those key levels we talked about first, like 95,000. Heck, even if we're at 90,000, there's not a concern. Let's drop below 90,000, and I'll take a look and say, you know what? This could be something bigger than I originally thought. I'm always aware and prepared for that. But what I do know, once again, is if there is a major dip coming, why is it these large institutions and big money pockets are buying up these dips right now and buying up assets? The two don't go hand in hand. Something is fishier than people want to admit. And I love reading the comment section here on YouTube, here on X. I love seeing people be overly negative because markets go up when people get overly negative. I saw someone comment earlier. They said, man, I've been holding long term, but I don't know how much longer I can do it. I'm getting ready to give up. That's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. They want to find out who is going to break and who's not going to. Excuse me. Gotta get a drink of water. Who's not going to break? Who is weak-handed? Who out there thinks that they have the cojones to hold on, but who actually can? Dry throat there. They are testing. They are testing the patience of every single retail investor every single day. And you got to start asking yourself, why? You got to start looking at the actual details and the actual levels. And right now, I see people in comment section. I love the negativity because when you go back and you study the history of the bull markets and the bear markets, at the bottom of every major move, there's an increased drastic level of negativity amongst investors. And at the top of every bull cycle and every local top, there's an increased level of optimism. What do we have right now? Increased level of pessimism. That's bullish.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so the jobs numbers. Do we want to spend any more time on that?
No, we can.
Yeah.
It's confusing. What you need to know is that I think the biggest way to kind of run away from this, Zero Hedge, we don't need to go to his post. I talked about it this morning in Tim's takes, so you guys need to be in Discord so you can watch those Tim takes as well. Absolutely free, by the way. It's pretty clear the way Zero Hedge lines it up. This is exposing the lies of 2024. The numbers, I mean, that was what we dealt with all of 2024, is this concept of like, man, Biden's spending a bunch of money and doing a bunch of dumb things, but the job numbers are still so good. We're not in a recession. Everything's fine. Well, how much of that was being propped up by illegal immigrants having jobs? Well, guess what? Now that illegal immigrants are being deported, and more than likely, my guess is a lot of employers who are employing illegal immigrants are saying, ugh, I don't want to be caught with that happening. I'm going to let them go. You're watching the new jobs drastically fall, meaning there's not many being created, but you're also watching unemployment fall. That's pretty clear. That's pretty certain. You're eliminating a big chunk of the workforce that's giving us more accurate details of what's happening.
Yep, and just a real quick snapshot. We already showed you the S&P 500, but the way that bond yields are reacting to this is that going back to September, the bond yields have essentially been in an uptrend here. What does this mean? When bond yields are in an uptrend, it means that the underlying asset, the underlying value, the bonds, is decreasing, meaning demand is lowering for bonds. When demand is lowering for bonds, that demand is either just sitting on the sidelines in cash, or it's actually going into risk, right? And clearly, it's going into a combination. Some of it's going into cash and gold. Clearly, a lot of it's going into gold right now. And some of it's going into risk, like Tesla and Bitcoin and Cardano and whatever else, Palantir and Uber, right? So as long as we continue to see these yields go higher, it does make a tougher job for the U.S. government because their interest expense is going higher and higher because the percentage that they have to pay on these bonds is going higher and higher. But it does show that the market is going into risk, rotating into risk. Do you need to understand bond dynamics 100% to be an investor in crypto and equities? No, you do not. But this is T Shroom's little bond corner for y'all. That's the 10-year treasury, by the way, that we're taking a look at here. So overall, though, I'm very confident that things are looking good. These yields going higher does translate to me that folks are generally maintaining a risk for maintaining an appetite for risk and not looking for bonds in a way that we would see if investors were anticipating a looming recession. So that's, again, just T Shroom's little 10-year treasury corner.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good. Before we move on here, 342, that wraps up all the news there, right, T Shroom?
It does indeed, Tim.
We got an overwhelmingly pessimistic chat today. And by the way, I say this all the time. We love it. We love when people vocalize their opinion because that is what this space is all about. It's about hearing diverse opinions, diverse reasonings. We don't want people to blindly just listen to anything that I say or T Shroom says or any of our guests say, although we love having guests with diverse opinions as well. We want you guys thinking for yourself. We want you learning and understanding, how do I process the information coming at me from the charts? How do I process the information coming at me from the news? How do I process the information of all these different metrics that can talk about bullish or bearish metrics? So anyone who's sitting here and you're used to other channels banning you or getting rid of you because you disagree with the host or you have a different opinion, you're not going to find that here. We love it. We love the diversity. You guys are all welcome. Come in every single day. Tell us why we're wrong. We just ask that you keep respect. And the reality is, for most people in this chat that I see commenting, I'm seeing a lot of disagreements. They think I'm wrong. They think I'm silly, but you're being respectful. And I love that. There was a question or a thought that was asked earlier that said, Tim, look at the weekly MACD chart. It's clear that we are heading to the downside. All right. And I understand, before we pull this up, I understand what he's saying. I want to get in there and show you guys what he's talking about on the weekly chart because he's showing a pretty bearish looking formation. So let's get in here and take a look at my chart on the Bitcoin charts and look at the weekly MACD. Let's get rid for a second of my other oscillators just to clean this up and we can get a very good look at the MACD. What he's talking about right now is this blue line, the main moving line, moving below the orange line. Pretty much, if you're not used to technical analysis, the MACD is a moving average convergence divergence. A lot of words I just put out there, but Let me explain the details you need to understand. When the blue line is above the orange line, especially if it's been below it and crosses bullishly, that's really bullish. That's showing that a lot more money and power is flowing in. But when it starts to cross below the orange line, when the histograms turn red instead of being green, that's negative. Okay. So what he's saying here, what he's pointing out, and I forgive me because I don't remember whose name it was, and I can't scroll back up to find it. That would take me too long. But I thought it was a great thought and a great question to explore here for everybody. What he's saying is, Tim, we're getting a bearish cross on the MACD chart. This is absolutely horrible. And you know what, guys? This is bearish. This is a negative sign. I'm not going to try to tell you, oh, no. When the blue line goes below the orange, that's the best thing to. This is a bearish chart right here, guys. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. What I want to do is give you context. The context is this isn't necessarily as damning as some people would believe it to be. It could be. It could end up being really bad. But let's take a look, because you see that we also had a bearish cross back here, back in April. Well, what happened last April? That's a part of that very long 7-month sideways consolidation. Did that mean the bull market was over? Just tell me in chat, because I could be wrong. I don't consider the pullback between March and September. Let's go to the bottom of September. I don't consider that the end of the bull market. I consider that a sideways, slightly negative consolidation period. Does that mean the bull market's over? No, it shouldn't. And yet we had a bearish MACD cross. Okay. Well, let's go back before. Have we seen this happen before? Well, right now, we're looking at right now, we're flirting. This has to wait till the ending close. We haven't officially closed below. And if you take a look here, there's some things that can happen in the space. Like, for example, right here on January 29th. January 29th, it looked very likely that we were about to have a bearish MACD cross, and then boom. In fact, at one point, we probably were slightly below, because when I look at the candle that corresponds, you can see a pretty nasty wick corresponding there, right?
Tim.
So at one point,
Tim, I think that's where we sold, you and I, when we thought there was a head and shoulders.
I sold before. I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys back where I sold. Terrible stuff. We're gonna get into that later. My overall point here is this looked very negative. This looked like doom and gloom was coming. But of course, hindsight's 2020. This was simply a small little pullback before a continuation of the upside. You keep scrolling back. My long story short, we have spent several times, even this bull market, seeing bearish crosses that ended up not being anywhere close to the end of the bull market. We saw bearish crosses back in the 2021 bull market several times that ended up not being the end of the bull market. So before you just look at a bearish indicator and decide, man, this is bad, that MACD looks like it's about to cross bearish, the bull market must be over, make sure we're taking a look at the context of what has been done, what's being done, because historically, we actually can see during a severe bear market, yes, eventually this will call for a dip, right? The bear market cross here in November 2021, that was a bad one. That was a surefire sign the bull market was on. Want to know another thing, though, that I liked about this one, though? If you look at the MACD, well, guess what, guys? These weekly charts, we were talking about divergences earlier today in our Bros Academy. Higher high in price action, but lower high in MACD action. This is what we call a bearish divergence. That would have been an amazing sign to anybody that says that was the top of the bull market. If I had known more about trading, if I was a better trader back in 2021, I would have looked at that and said, guys, that's the bear market. The bear market's here. That was the top, right? Because that's clear bearish divergence. We don't have that happening here. Why? Because we've set a higher high in price action and a higher high in MACD action. Are we about to get a bearish cross? Absolutely. Or it looks like we are. We could fake out. Could we go a little bit lower here? Absolutely. But that would not end the bull market whatsoever. It would simply be another correction, another negative moment, but not the end of the bull market. There's a lot of reasons to think that that's actually not the end. But great observation, whoever it was that brought that up. Great observation. What T. Shroom was talking about, let's talk about Tim's mistakes, right? You guys want to know why I'm so adamant about not trying to outthink the bull market and the way these things work. Why you don't just trust the charts, you also have to explore what's happening in the news, what's happening in the sentiment. Where I sold, and I didn't sell all of my position, and I bought back in very quickly, but I missed out on, by the end of this bull market, probably at least $100,000, right? I made a mistake in this bull market. Not perfect. I sold right in here. I sold right here back in October of 2023, right before that big run up. Why? Because there was a part of me that thought that we were forming, there was a lot of reasons for it, but I thought we were forming a nice head and shoulders pattern. I talked about a move back down to or below $20,000. As you take a look at a lot of indicators on lower time frames, where are we? There we go. There was a lot of reasons here as to why we needed to correct from a chart perspective. And I'm not going to go into the process of giving you guys all of them. All I'm going to say here is we were overextended. We looked like we wanted to pull back. There was sentiment in the space. There was rational arguments as to why one more good flush out down towards 19.7 before the bull market takes off would have made sense. And you want to know what I did, guys? I sold. I sold on the fake news. It was right in here because it was after the fake news, after the X hacking of the SEC that ended up being fake. I was like, there it was, guys. That was the exit liquidity. That was the flash up, trap everybody up here. We're about to go down. I sold. And then, of course, a couple days later, we pumped. I had to buy back in at 34, 35,000. I sold right here around 28, missed out on those gains between 28,000 and 35,000. What's my point here? I made a mistake. And the big mistake I made was underestimating how the bull market can go and thinking, man, if I time and look for negative details and apply the chart's negativity and don't take anything else into consideration, that maybe I can make a good move. And it ended up costing me big time. What I'm telling people right now with this overall thing, I hope no one hears this and is thinking Tim's telling you, if you don't buy right this second, you're going to make a mistake. Guys, we could go back down to 90,000. We could go back lower. We could go to 85. We could go to 75. I don't think we are, but we could. I'm not telling you to not look for a way to buy lower. I'm not telling you that this is impossible to happen. What I'm telling you is don't sell. What I'm telling you is hold on to what you currently have and try to find some way to scrap together more dry powders for the just in case we pull back. But there's so much about this bull market in the way it's forming right now that says that it is far from being over. Corrections happen, pullbacks happen, but the signs that we want to see that tells us the top of the bull market is here, things like the Coinbase app being crazy high, things like brand new retail investors coming in like crazy, things like high volume. Again, every bull market top comes with an increased level of volume. Take a look at the volume here, guys. Does that look like, this is the thing down here, does this look like we have a massive amount of volume coming in right now? No, it doesn't. Almost no indicator that traditionally follows the tops of these bull markets looks at all like the top is in. And in fact, one of the biggest things I'm looking at to say it's not, and I say it 1,000 times, and I'm going to say it another 1,000 times. Us retail investors are not going to be able to pinpoint the top of this market. When the bull market top comes in, we will all feel like we're on a mountaintop. Bitcoin's going to keep on going. Crypto's going to keep on going. We're not done over. And I know I'm saying it's not done over, but I'm saying the overwhelming feeling, Bitcoin fear and greed index is going to be in the 90s. People are going to be overly bullish. People are going to think that they can just do whatever and then, boom, that's when we get struck down and the prices retrace. It's not going to happen when darn near close to at least 50, if not more percent of retail investors invested right now are feeling the pain and feeling like they need to dump their coins before it's too late. That is not what happens at bull market tops. So that's what I'm going to continue to hodl on and just look for more dips to buy. My next purchase, $95,000. I talked about it earlier. Big level right here. We're moving closer. We might hit this soon. I mean, I don't think we're going to hit it before the end of the show. We only have 8 minutes left, but I'm still looking at this 95,000. So many reasons why 95,000 needs to be hit. Let's watch what happens after 95,000 is hit. If we start dropping, we'll reevaluate. We'll tell you what's going on, but let's watch what happens at 95,000 today, tomorrow, sometime soon. All right, let's get away from here. Good stuff going on. By the way, if you want to spend more time with myself, with T Shroom, if you're feeling really uncertain about the markets and you want an education on how to think through holding, how to think through trading, how to think through how to handle your markets, we created a free Discord as well as paid membership levels where you can spend way more time with us and learn way more about investing so that you are not one of the capitulators who sells way too early and miss out on all these gains. By the way, Smay, I think we had a referral or what do we call it? A testimonial.
A testimonial. And I
written here recently. What did that person say?
I would love to read from one of our dear people taking advantage of our Discord, and I'll go ahead and read it. To any newbie just starting out, I've only been in it for 5 months, and I've gone through the beginner hell. So let me sum it up. A lot of the garbage you will see on YouTube is for high-risk day traders, and if you listen to them, you will lose money. I lost a bunch till I found the bros. Now I'm in the green, and it's only getting better. I'm still green at the bottom of this dip, because I listened to the bros on the last dip in November. They cater to people that actually have a day job and can't sit there trying to buy every high and low. Their DCA type of trading works for the average Joe. Listen to Tim. He's super bullish, but if he says something may pull back to X, in my experience, 9 out of 10, he's right. Not that you should sell before the dip, but knowing what could happen keeps you from freaking out and selling the bottom of the dip. So wonderful. Back to you guys.
There we go. We did have a super chat that came in here. And by the way, Redline, I see that you're commenting here. You say that you have a comment before. I'm scrolling back. Do not see your comment. So if you want to repeat that comment, I'll read it for you, but I cannot find it. So help me repeat that one. This is from, oh my goodness, Last Get Real Estate, Sacramento, I think. Speaking of negativity, by the way, thank you for the super chat there, Last Get Real Estate. Speaking of negativity, a lot of sentiment that ETH is dead, but with all the big ETH buys from Trump, feels like something big is coming. Ethereum oversold. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't have to overcomplicate that one. I agree with you right there. Institutions are buying ETH. Institutions are surely really big on it. I'm not saying the chart looks good. I'm not saying that it's going to be a certainty, but it is something absolutely that looks like it still is happening. Redline might have repeated. They said, y'all need to check Wild, I think meant World, but Wild Liberty Financial Wallet. So does Josh, Larry, Mo, and Keenan, because y'all are looking like you don't stay up to date on your due diligence, I think is DD. I don't know. Okay, we'll have to take a look at that. I don't know if we'll have time today, Redline, but we'll look at it. We'll address it here next week. So thank you for the comment. We'll definitely take a look there. With that said, though, it is about time to wrap up our show for the day. If you enjoyed the show or if you didn't enjoy the show, either way, you can smash the like button. It's absolutely free, helps the bros out. Make sure you are subscribed as well. Let's take a look at our factoid of the day today, and we're going to call it a day. Smay, what do you got for us today?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Tim, we also have a wheel to spin for the winners, but we will do that after this. But I would like to welcome you all, wonderful people, to the Factoid of the Day, brought to you by Decrypted.tax. And with that, we have a Super Bowl-themed factoid because the Super Bowl is this weekend. We hate that the Chiefs made it, but that's all right. That's just how it's scripted. But let's go ahead and dive right on into it. And Shroom is muted. Wow, I wish I could have heard that joke. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. What unusual halftime adjustment did Chiefs coach Andy Reid make in the Super Bowl at 54 that helped spark the team's comeback? A, he switched to a no-huddle offense for the first time all season. B, he ate a cheeseburger and told the team to play loose. C, he drew up a trick play from a 1948 Rose Bowl game. Or D, he let Patrick Mahomes call his own plays for a full quarter. That while he was probably on the sideline eating a cheeseburger.
Yeah,
I'm gonna I've got to say, go Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to win the big game.
Gosh, you should have stayed muted.
Gosh, yeah, that's
Patrick Mahomes is a very good quarterback, and he's a very good athlete.
Normie take.
I love a good trick play. I don't know the answer to this one, so I'm going to have to go Charlie because I love a good trick play.
Yeah, I think that I could be wrong here, but what makes the most sense would be a no-huddle offense. They were down significantly in the Super Bowl, and one of the ways you combat that is with a no-huddle offense. So I'm leaning towards A and hoping I'm wrong that it's actually I said number B. I hope it's actually B. But I'm leaning right now towards A. He switched to a no-huddle offense for the first time all season.
I hope it's B too, because that's where that's what this image is. No, I'm kidding. It's the AI image. But all right, with that, you guys lock in your answers, and the answer is
go Chiefs.
C. He drew up a trick play from 1948 Rose Bowl game. I mean, that just goes to show that, man, the scriptwriters really did their due diligence and dove back into the history of football. because that is a
What was the
deep
trick
cut.
play?
I don't know, but I did.
Oh, okay.
If anybody's wondering, because the elf has been struggling. I had the elf do his due diligence and fact check this, and so this has been fact checked officially by not independent fact checkers, but this fact checker. Anyways,
I feel like you're making this way more about that and a lot less about T-Shroom's big dub here in the factoid section.
You're just too pro Chiefs. I can't let you have it. All right. Anyways, back to you guys.
Yeah, I will say, okay, so I want to address before we go out here now. We'll have to go take a look at wallets. We'll have to take a lot of different things. The 4 days ago, I do remember reading about this. I don't think we addressed this on the show. There was an accusation that World Liberty Financial had sold all of their crypto. Of course, they came out and denied it. This does mean we need to look into it a little deeper. But in the world of crypto, you got to make sure you look at everything correctly, the way it is handled, because there is so much misinformation out there about how these things actually move. People really, really, really like to fake details because it creates great headlines. Remember, headlines are a big thing. Listen, Redline, anyone else who thinks it's happened, I would love to see sources, love to do more to kind of verify what's happening here. But at the moment, this is a speculative story that is a he said, she said at the moment. It does require some digging into it, but you can't always just look at the first piece of evidence anyone submits, an accusation, and then say, well, automatically that has to be the truth. There's absolutely stuff out there that needs to be played out. But I want to address it, Redline. Love that you're bringing that to our attention. Love that that's a concern you have. Again, in our free Discord, send links. Send me what you're looking at. Send me the evidence you've compiled, and I would love to address it and maybe bring it up on our next show. But with that said, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. By the way, before I let you guys go, right after this, Crux is going to be going live with his Friday fundamentals. If you want to learn more about fundamentals and ask Crux more about it, make sure you're in our free Discord. Go over there, check him out, spend an hour and some change with him. He also just put a video out the other day about XRP, and I forgot to announce it on here. So make sure the link is down below. Go follow and subscribe to our new channel called Alpha Bros, where Crux is crushing it with information. And then you will feel more up to date on what you need to know about these cryptos. I am getting an update from Smay. We made a major mistake. There is a giveaway we have to do today. So just bear with us here for just a second. We do have a giveaway. I saw your messages, Smay.
Yes,
I wasn't ignoring you.
I know. I was just making sure. Just making sure. All right. Just making sure. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and jump into the wheel. Everybody, let's go ahead and spin the wheel. And it should have sound effects. Oh, there it is.
Who's it going to be? It's really small.
Small.
Font.
Oh. Very small.
It is. Well, you guys go ahead.
Arbar Dachov.
Arbar Dachov. Let's go.
Kev.
Congratulations,
All right, so
friend.
Congratulations.
Go ahead and I will post in the general chat of the Discord right now, and you can DM me. I will not DM you first, ever, and nobody will DM you first in our Discord.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that is now officially going to wrap up today's show. Make sure on your way out to smash that like, hit subscribe. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Go watch the Super Bowl. Go spend time with family. If you feeling brave, if you want to dance, buy some crypto. It's cheap right now comparatively to where it's been the last couple of weeks. With that said, though, we'll see you Monday afternoon, same time, same place. Love you guys. Adios.